What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and I'm back with my review of Stellar Blade. It's been a long while because of just stuff happening and me not being able to stream consistently, so it took a while, but we finally beat Stellar Blade, and I'm happy to say that I actually really enjoyed this game. I thought it was really good. It for sure has some rough spots, and it's not great in certain aspects, but in others, it's actually really stand out in my opinion. But for now, let's actually get, I believe, the what is the worst part of this game, or I wouldn't say the worst, but it's like the weakest part of the game, and that would be the game's story. And it's just very bare bones. The game doesn't really like dive into it enough in cutscenes and maybe in dialogue between characters, because there's plenty of documents and memory sticks that if you read them, you'll get a better sense of the world, of what happened, the fight between the humans and the Nativas and all that stuff. But for the average person that doesn't really dig through every document, there isn't enough story conveyed through like just cinematics and dialogue between characters. And yeah, I think that's like the weakest part. And there are a few twists and turns here, I would say. I mean, I kind of figured out the biggest twist pretty much right away. It wasn't that really surprising, in my opinion. Um, but regardless, it's just the story is just very, very bare bones. Like, there just wasn't enough there, and it wasn't conveyed very well, to the player, unless you're again going through every little document, reading every little thing. And then there is also the problem of characters. I just think that we didn't really dive into them enough, especially like Lily and Adam and some of the others in the peripheral that we get like info about. And I mean, if you read their info from the menu, from their documents, you'll get a bit more understanding about them. But none of that's conveyed again through the story of the game, like through cutscenes or dialogue. Like, you have to read to really get a grasp on them, and again, there's just not. The game doesn't do a good job of like fleshing out these characters to like again the average gamer who's not gonna go into the menu and read all that. And I also will defend. Some people are saying that Eve's characterization is nowhere to be seen, horrible. She's basically not a character, and I would push back against that because for the first, I would say, two sections of the game, they actually do a good job of like fleshing her character out, especially when you go to camps that have like green dots where you sit down. That the green dot tells you there's going to be story or like conversations that are going to happen. And at first there's like a good sense of like progression with her, where like she actually talks about what she's feeling, what she thinks, and her thoughts and stuff like that. But as the game continues on, like, we lose a lot of that. Like, she stops really diving, telling her feelings, and she just starts commenting on like stuff we know that's happening, stuff that we've seen happen. And it's like we don't really get her actual thoughts on stuff like we did in the first part of the game, and already at least in the beginning of the game. And I feel like they kind of dropped the ball there, because I feel like if they would have continued with like the campsites, dialogue, it would have been better for her to like share her opinion, her views, her stuff, like get a bit more insight into what she's thinking, and it would have been a bit better. Even more so if maybe during some cutscenes we actually see again more dialogue and situations where like they can really flesh out the characters, which is again just a real problem, I think, or the weakest part of this game, where like the story and the characters are really not fleshed out enough within the context of like of the game. Again, if you were to dive into like documents and like the bios and the menu, you'll learn a bit more. But again, the average gamer's not going to do that, and I feel like that's why, story-wise and character-wise, that's like really the weakest parts of this game. It's not horrible by any means. Again, the story is passable. It is bare bones, but it's passable. People giving it a hard time for like not being Shakespeare, I kind of is like, come on, guys, it's not that bad. So I will say that for sure, the story and characters are the weakest part, but it's not completely horrible. And there were a few, twists and turns here that, even though I saw them coming, I thought they were good. I thought they were fine. So yeah, but for sure, again, repeating myself, character and stories, bit on the weaker side, for sure. Now, the game's combat is obviously a strongest suit. I mean, it's very responsive, it's fluid, the combos are great, the nuances are there. They give you a bunch of different abilities and like, options to use, especially when you're like if you're not like me who's fought like every single thing and like just want to focus on certain aspects of your character, you can totally do that. And yeah, the combat in this game is just feels fantastic. If you again watch my playthrough, you'll know that I bitched and moaned about a lot of stuff, but that's mostly just skill issue. That's just me sucking at the game, even though I complained a lot. But I will say there were certain mechanics that I felt they just sometimes they would not work properly and sometimes they would. And then it was just like this weird, just I don't know, like some mechanics would just feel a little off at points. But overall, it's mostly just a skill issue on my part, because more often than not, the mechanics and the combat of the game were just excellent in my opinion. They were utterly fantastic. And again, I actually, like I said before, I'm probably going to be playing through the game again just to see the other endings because I enjoyed the combat. The combat was fun enough that I'm willing to go through it again just to experience the other endings because the combat's fun in my opinion. I really did enjoy the combat and I think it was fantastic. The last few things I want to talk about are nothing really all that, nothing that really stood out in my opinion. Graphically, the game looked fine. I did performance mode and it seemed to run good, seemed to run well. Me personally, I don't think I saw any dips in the frame rate. Maybe one or two in certain open areas, but more often than not, the game ran perfectly fine in my opinion and looked really good. And then one aspect I was actually surprised I enjoyed much more than I thought I would was the music, the songs in the game. I quite enjoyed I actually really liked most of the songs in that game, like not just like the singing ones but the ambient ones as well. I was surprised by that. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, and it really stood out in my opinion. I really did enjoy like the music in this game. Now the last thing I want to touch upon is, well, for any of you who've seen my one video about like the double standards between Western and Eastern games when it comes to like sexuality and like all that stuff, where I used Stellar Blade as an example, besides like a few cutscenes, obviously the outfits, but like besides a few cutscenes that really like pan to certain angles, I really didn't see the over sexualization people were talking about. I mean, again, yes, I know there's a bunch of outfits, and I mean, unless you're going out of your way to unlock that outfit, equip it, and then watch certain cutscenes with that outfit on, then I could maybe say like, okay, that's really, you're going out of your way to over sexualize the character. But that's more on the player, because for those of you again who watched my playthrough, I really didn't change my character Eve's outfit really at all until like the very end of the game, and I only picked one other outfit, the one with the cool jacket that I really liked the jacket. And yeah, again, like besides one or two cutscenes that really pan to certain angles, I didn't feel like the over sexual, like the controversy was deserved. And again, I would probably say this even if it was like we have the censored version, even the uncensored version, I just didn't see it. Like people were raving on it, like really on it about censoring and all this other stuff, and I just personally didn't see it. Again, that's because I didn't pick any of the skimpy outfits and equip them and like watch cutscenes within those outfits. So like I would say for the average gamer, if you just go through it without ever switching costumes, besides one or two scenes that really like focus on those certain angles, I don't know, I just didn't see the hubbubaloo. I don't see why people were causing such a fuss. But that's just me. But yeah, those are my thoughts and my review of Stellar Blade. Overall, I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was really solid, really good, and I'm gonna be playing through it again to get to the ending because I really enjoyed the combat and the gameplay. But yeah, If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment down below. I'd appreciate any and all feedback. Subscribe. I'm streaming on Twitch, so please consider following me there at twitch.tv/JustAGamerInc, all together in word, or you can click the link below. But yeah, did you guys play Stellar Blade? What are your thoughts on it? Did you agree, disagree? Are you happy with the game? Are you not? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. But regardless, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care and have a good game.